Good morning, my friends. I want to make a first video in a series of explaining the rupture and repair process with God and just talking a little bit more about why those of us who have limbic impairment tend to lose that connection when we're in this space. So, God is not a vending machine. I feel I've seen so much, spiritual practice revolves around petition and addressing God as this like entity outside of ourselves who we ask for things and talk to and kind of expect to just drop things out of the sky. That's at least how I was raised. That was my experience in the past. And in this journey, what we end up learning is that, or what I've learned, we need to meet life halfway. And the brain is where the mind-body connection happens. It's where spirit becomes matter. That happens in your brain. It's a pretty cool thing. And when our brain is completely filled with trauma loops and stress chemistry, there is no room for life or any positive experience or any connection to the goodness of being to happen. We're totally disconnected from that when we're in a fully negative state. There's just trauma loops running through the brain. It's just darkness and it's a false message. We're stuck in a pattern of the brain just being unable to access anything other than a negative repeating cycle because it feels unsafe, and that's all that's going on. It's just the brain being like, you're not safe, look at this, look at that, all these bad, scary things. And there's no room for anything else. So every single person I've ever spoken to has had this experience where when we're in this state, we lose all touch with anything spiritual, anything positive, even, to take this on a little different level. Like you're disconnected from life. You're disconnected from anything positive. That's universal. I've never met a single person who did not feel like they lost their spiritual connection when they were in a dark place, in a limbic place, in a trauma place. It's like we've been unplugged from our ability to connect and to meet God halfway. And that's where in this journey, but a lot of times what happens is we just feel lost and we perceive it as God has abandoned me. God's not there anymore. God's not real. And I definitely experienced it that way. Like that's just how it feels. So what I recognized over time, as I've said, my spiritual connection it's been like the backbone of my entire journey. It took me years and months of working with this consciously to realize that it was up to me to put myself in a state where I needed to do the work to climb up out of that trauma state and try to connect with something positive. And once I was in a state where I could start to tap into dose chemistry a little bit, relaxation chemistry a little bit, that's when you start to be able to then sense God's presence or the presence of something positive, or really access that spiritual connection, is when we're in relaxation chemistry. That's the only place where we can meet those good things, meet that positive presence. So just know that it's a meeting halfway thing. And it's one of these parts. And the bigger truth though, too, is that you are held when you cannot remember what it's like to experience anything good. You are held when all feels lost. You are held when you are in the depths of hell and everything is dark and all the lights have gone out, and I just always think back to that scene in Lord of the Rings when Sam's holding Frodo on the side of Mount of Mordor and just like, I can't remember the taste of strawberries and I don't remember anything. I can't remember what life feels like. Even in those places, there's a bigger goodness that holds us. And we reconnect with that once we come back to a place of regulation. But just know that you're not alone in that experience. That's just how it is for every human being, because of the nature of the fact that we are spirit and body. We are matter and not matter. And that connection happens inside of this fleshy thing that you are inside of your brain that can get impaired and have injuries happen to it. So you're not alone, and you will find that connection again.